If there is an existing standard, we would rather reference it and use that. But if there isn't one that is relevant for our industry and there is that gap, we'll hear about it for a while before we say, okay, we're hearing this from many different sources. We think it's time. Every comment that a public review commenter submits has to be addressed. Now, if the committee doesn't agree with your comment, they can't just say, thanks, but no thanks, we don't agree. That's not going to work well.
Regarding the process for creating and drafting new standards, right?
Mhm.
What leads to, what is the catalyst that is the stimulus for IICRC saying, hey, we have an opportunity here to develop a new standard? How often does this happen? Or is this more of, hey, we're really confident in the standards that we have in place now? It's more of a maintenance process. How often are you actually encountering a necessity for a new standard to be drafted and created?
So it's a combination. I mean, the standards that we do have now are on a continuous maintenance, periodic maintenance rather, of every 5 years. But then we have grown significantly over the last decade. And the reason for that is simply things are changing. There's nothing in black and white for so many different areas of our industry. For
Mhm.
example, trauma and crime scene, we didn't have a standard, but there was obviously a grave need for some kind of guidance in the industry when it comes to cleanup and restoration after trauma and crime scene. So that's something that we put together. Similarly, fire and smoke damage restoration, huge gap. So all of these things, as the need has become apparent, and the I guess the incidence of fires, for example, has just increased to such a great extent that it just was sort of, we reached a point where we're like, we have to do this. And so there's many different reasons, but essentially it's a need in the industry and a gap in the industry. If there is already an existing standard, say developed by another standards developer, then we will try to use that, because there is a requirement in the industry for standards developers to harmonize amongst each other. So if there is an existing standard, we would rather reference it and use that. But if there isn't one that is relevant for our industry and there is that gap, and we'll hear about it for a while before we say, okay, we're hearing this from many different sources. We think it's time. We don't take it lightly, because a new standard is a big undertaking. So we're
Sure.
not going to just every other weekend start a new standard, but when we do, we're all in. And it certainly is only when there is a need and a gap identified.
Okay, great. Um, so I'm curious, if I'm a professional, right, and I want to have my say, so to speak, in this standards creation process. Um, how does that look? How do I get informed on standards that are maybe in this consensus phase where you're getting input, the commenting from like-minded professionals in the industry? How does one get involved in this process? And why do you personally think it's advantageous and beneficial for these individuals to be involved in the drafting process?
Okay, that's a two couple of very, very good questions. I will try to answer them to the best of my ability. Why get involved? Because if you don't, you're on the receiving end of a standard that's already been written and you had no input in it. You had no say so in what's going to impact you, quite honestly, right? I mean, if you've not been involved in the drafting or in the commenting process of a standard, then you're looking at it once it's published, and then you have to, well, you don't have to, but you sort of have to follow what's in the standard. And so you're at a disadvantageous position at that point. Whereas if you get involved during the drafting process, then you have the ability to provide us with feedback. And if there's something that's, say, too much of a stretch that's going to impact you in a negative way, and you are able to communicate that to our consensus body and provide a reference or a rationale for why you think something is incorrect or overstated in the standard, then the consensus body will at least consider that, and they may make a change that might be beneficial. So we have a saying in standards development, that is, if you're not at the table, you may end up on the menu. So you don't want that. Nobody wants that. You want to be involved, to the extent possible. And there are many different ways to be involved. Of course, there is, the biggest lift is, of course, being a consensus body member. You apply, and if you get selected, you become a member. But that's a lot. That's weekly meetings and homework and drafting and all of that. But that's only one way to do it. The other way is public review, and that is equally powerful, almost, I would say, because every comment that a public review commenter submits has to be addressed. Now, if the committee doesn't agree with your comment, they can't just say, thanks, but no thanks, we don't agree. That's not going to work well. So, what the committee has to do is provide a rationale for why they disagree with your comment, right? So, they have to give it some thought before they dismiss anything at all. And so that's another way to participate. We also have non-voting volunteers, which you have to apply to be a non-voting volunteer. Kind of on this like backup list. You're not a voting member, but you're a backup list in case we lose any members on the committee, or we want your feedback for a particular section or a subsection that you have indicated you have a particular interest in. So there's many different ways to get involved and stay involved. For those who are new to standards, I highly recommend this whole process. I mean, anyone who has done it for the first time will tell you that they've learned a lot. It's a give and take. You learn through the process, and it's very fulfilling. But if that's not for you, public review. How do you get involved in public review? IICRC puts out press releases and notifications and emails, and through ANSI and through our own different, press releases, we try to put out that information. But say you're interested in a particular standard, the standard's already being developed, and you just want to know, at some point, I want to submit comments. Drop us an email, standards@iicrcnet.org, and we'll notify you. We just need to know that you're interested. And if not, we do try to reach a very wide array of stakeholders, because it is in our best interest to do that. And so we invite and welcome participation and commenting.
Absolutely. So I've contributed to the standards process. Now I want to use this in my day-to-day business. What are the advantages for a professional that goes out there and is able to confidently say, I'm abiding by IICRC standards? What are the advantages for them in their business and the work that they're completing? How does that look from your perspective?
So many good questions. Okay, so first of all, I must clarify that our standards are not regulation, right? So there is no
Mhm.
mandatory requirement. It cannot be enforced. We do not have a compliance or enforcement arm at IICRC. We write the standards. They are what we call voluntary consensus based standards. So if you choose to follow them, you follow them. If you don't, there's no penalty for not following them, other than you may lose out on market share, right? So when you're following a standard, and when you state that you're following a standard, you are following basically what the industry considers to be the base, the must do is the standard. Like I said, it's not the ceiling, it's very much the floor. And so that gives you a backup, it gives you something to hold on to and to show if needed, to back up your project, the work that you've done, whether it's cleaning, restoration, inspection work. You can, share little snippets of a standard with either a client, or in some cases, during a legal case, right? So our standards very much stand up in court. They are used by expert witnesses for projects all the time, and so to be able to say, well, I did this because that's what the standard says, then that gives you protection. It gives you a defense for why you did something, and covers you. And I think that is probably in everybody's best interest, rather than saying, I kind of thought this was a good idea and I did it, and I have nothing to back that up. So it's while not a requirement, it very much, over time, our standards very much become the de facto requirement in the industry. our water damage standard, our mold remediation standard. Those are things that are litigated quite often for different cases, and they very much hold their own in court. So I'd say very much an advantage to follow the standard. But then you actually have to follow it. You cannot say that you're following it and not do it. That's a whole other issue, and we don't police any of that.
Okay, so ultimately, it comes down to a certain level of credibility for the individuals that are abiding by these standards. While not mandatory, they can confidently say, "Hey, I'm holding myself and my business up to an industry standard that perhaps their competition are not."
Absolutely. And as I mentioned in the introduction, our standards are the base for our certification and our training and all of these other things that then there is uh, there's a system in place. So if you're a certified firm or a certified technician, you're following the standard, you've been certified, there's been a process to get there. And then you have that to show. It helps with your marketing, with your client management and things like that. So there are other aspects of it. It's not limited to the standard, but based on the standard, then there's this whole range of other things like certification and training that one can acquire, which again it bolsters business, and ultimately, that's what it's about, right?
Absolutely. And I know that today our goal is not to talk specifically about the certifications and the trainings available, but I guess if somebody was looking to learn more about those, where would be a good starting point?
IICRC website, iicrc.org. We have a lot of information. We have things like if you're looking for a certified technician in a particular field, you can get that. You put in your zip code and you get that information. If you're looking for training, you get that information. It's a whole wealth of resources on our website.
I want to shift now in terms of what's going on with you right now. What are some current topics in terms of standard development that are exciting for you? I'm sure that you probably have a lot of exciting stuff going on in your day to day, but if you could cherry pick a couple of things that are really exciting for you right now in the world of standards development, what would that be?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. All day I could talk about this all day, but I'll pick a couple of things that are sort of coming down the pipeline and soon to be published. The first one is a cleaning standard, just a base cleaning standard for the commercial built environment. So it's cleaning, maintenance, restoration of the commercial built environment. You would think there is a standard for that, but there isn't. And so that's something that we are expecting to complete and publish as early as in a couple of months. The other thing that is particularly interesting is we have the standard for professional fire and smoke damage restoration, which is structural fire. That's super exciting. We also have one for drug residues and chemical waste or associated chemical waste, which, as you can imagine, is a big need in the world that we live in. Not something that would have been anticipated maybe a couple of decades ago, but something that is relevant and very much in the works. We're excited about that. We just closed our public review for that standard. It's the S900 standard. So a lot of fun things coming. It's certainly a lot of things that the industry needs. We have also recently ventured more into hard surface standards. We have a hard surface inspection standard, and we're working on others at this time for subfloors and substrates. So that's interesting. And then the last one that I'd like to mention is our S410 standard, which is cleaning of the built environment for infection control. So that's, a subset of the cleaning standard. So a lot of new and fun things, fun for me anyway, coming out. And then, of course, we're working on so many of our revisions, the S500 water
Right.
damage standard, mold remediation, things like that. That's sort of a continuous cycle.
Interesting. No, that's really, really cool. Um, I guess final question. This is just personal curiosity because you mentioned all these revisions going on. How many revisions are you handling at any given point in time?
10 to 15 at any time, which is
Wow.
now you see why I'm on Zoom calls all day long.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's
I
sort
can
of
only imagine.
juggling balls, and you keep the glass ones in the air and you let the plastic ones fall every now and then. But yes, that's kind of how it is, you know. But we have so many wonderful volunteers who give of their time to do this, you know. So the bulk of the work is done by the volunteers, our committee members, and you know, the industry and IICRC thanks them profusely for that work, because without them we'd have no standards. We'd be, you know, looking at Google.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. Well, Millie, I really appreciate you coming on here for just a quick chat with me about IICRC and what you do in your role. Is there anything particular you'd like to share with the Magic Plan audience that will be viewing this?
Yeah, a couple of things. One is, please consider participating or contributing towards a standard, whether as a committee member by applying to be on a committee or as part of public review. I promise you it is a rewarding process, or even part of the process. So, you know, that's one. Second is, our standards are available through a subscription site. So if you're interested, it is a standard subscription site. It is an online only access that gives you access to absolutely everything that we have, current and historical standards, as well as anything new that comes along. So if you're a subscriber, you automatically get access to any new standards that are published. And also iicrc.org. That is where everything is at. If you have questions or need more information, please feel free to reach out to us. We'd be happy to answer them.
Great. Thank you so much, Millie. I hope you have a great rest of your day and stay tuned for our next podcast episode.
Thank you so much.